So I put those guys in there accordingly. Again, that's all in the next video, which I will be posting with this video. But let me see here. If you want to look at blitzing ones right now, Cavo's not with us right now. He might be joining us. All right. I don't think any of these guys are. Right. So the blitzing ones, let's look at Sam Ochoa. Right. Can you guys see Sam's build?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to stream down to the bottom. Tunnel vision, gold tunnel vision is why I'm having him be one of the, for this first game, one of our blitzers. You know, starting speed, first game rookie, 638. Not too bad. I'll show you why the other guy is in a minute. But so at the moment, this is what Sam looks like. For this game, things can certainly change as builds change. Is there specific stuff that you guys want to see before I bring up the other linebacker? Or want to give input? I could definitely take it into consideration. I've done stuff already, but if you guys come up with a good idea, then by all means, you can float it my way, please, because this is a community effort.
The only thing I would say here about this build in relation to the depth charts is that he's going to have to utilize an aggressive substitution method for now, at least. I don't know what you currently have there at the linebacker position, but on 31 conditioning,
that is low.
Fast. He's going to get very tired very quickly.
I think I have him. I have him at sometimes right now, and then the other guys behind him is the other blitzer I'm going to show you. So, I might go back and switch that not right now, but at the end of this video.
It might need to be aggressive, but he might just be playing too much.
Blitz. That's a really good point. Blitz LB set to aggressive. All right. So the other blitzer, right? The other person that was built when I was looking at him, I thought was kind of built to blitz, was Bubbling Brook, I think. Yep. So this was Cavo's linebacker, and the reason why I thought he would be good for blitzing is because of the speed, right? He's our fastest linebacker. The D end that they are lining up over. I will look at the D ends, and actually, I think both of my D ends are here, or at least so they can talk about their D ends in a minute. But we'll look at that in a minute. But any questions, comments about Cavo's linebacker, Bubbling Brook?
It looks like he's probably a side-to-side linebacker primarily that also can blitz. Because the snap reaction is very low. It might be more appropriate to send the defensive ends on a balanced or elusive setting. And then have the linebackers blitz the gaps going forward.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Excellent information. I like it. All right. So with that said and done, let me go back to the team. Was there anything that anyone else wanted to see offensive or defensive for the team before I'll start kind of like asking so-and-so to each of you to talk about your player. So anything whole team related, that any questions, thoughts, comments that you all have at the moment?
Just a quick comment real quick. We now have Zars and Dr. Edward here with us, so that's...
Hey guys, sorry, I just got in.
Excellent. Good. You guys, all I did was kind of give a topical view of the team. My goal is you guys just joined us, so I'll give you an opportunity to kind of ask any questions that you might have. But then I'm going to ask each of you kind of one at a time to talk about your player. Start by kind of talking about your intentions for the player. Like what you want him to be able to do, what you're aiming for. And then after that, like I'll bring the player up so we can all see them. If you want to talk about how you're going about that, like skill choice, SP placement, and as such, I think that would be great for our listeners. Thank you for joining us. Before we start looking at our first player, Dr. Edgar or Zars, do either of you have any questions or thoughts or anything about the team as a whole before we start looking at individual pieces?
Not as a team as a whole, but if you need a punter, I'll make a punter if you can't find the other person.
All right. Cool. Yep. Let me look and see. I know I talked to somebody. I just didn't write it down on my notes. So I was going through all my messages and mails and GLB2 Academy and everything. And I need a little bit better organizational system, I think. Thank God it was Labor Day weekend, because if I was in school on Friday and today, this would have been a disaster on my part. So we will start then. Actually, you know what? Why don't we start with our offensive leader, right? Our quarterback, Zars. I'm going to bring up his quarterback so we can all see his quarterback. And Zars, if you would like to kick things off by telling us about what you're trying to accomplish with this build and how you're going about it. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm using this build slightly differently than I would typically build a rookie quarterback. And the biggest difference is the very high pocket awareness. And normally I've built quarterbacks with a 30 to 40 pocket awareness and focus on consistency of getting that to 30, 40 fast so that you can, make the hurried throw and not have so much degradation of your quality of your passes when you're getting blitzed. But the idea of the 69 here is that we're going to use the cap boosters. And so you get 3 cap boosters normally with a player. But if you buy the extra cap boosters, you'll have up to 7. And so since I pretty much always plan players around using all the available tools, so I'm going to probably end up buying the 7 cap boosters for this player if the team runs the vet and all that other stuff, and take the pocket awareness up to about 79 or potentially 84. And the idea with that is to use a very high level of pocket awareness on the quarterback so that the offensive line can primarily invest in run blocking and use as little pass blocking skills as possible so that the team can have an advantage in the run blocking game. So that's the concept behind how the build is starting. And since the cap boosters, the first 3 you get come in at journeyman, but the 4 you can buy start at sophomore. This will hopefully be a sophomore quarterback with a 79/84 pocket awareness, and see if we can utilize that methodology of having the passing game thrive with a high pocket awareness quarterback. Otherwise, you see the high pass technique of 60, because that's a quality pass to get receivers to catch the ball. Over time, you need pass power, accuracy, and consistency. But typically in rookie, you don't. The receivers and the defenses aren't there.
Excellent. And I also like the heart, the heart and leadership are important as well. So I see you get those in up there.
Yeah.
So
I saw you gave him a high contract, so I figured that was in the plan. So I said, okay, we're going to go with Hometown Hero as the SA first with a little extra SPs on the heart side. So he's going to be approaching 88 heart on home games in rookie.
Love it. Before we move on to our next guest, our next player, do you guys have any we'll do kind of like a little round table type thing, right? We'll let each of you speak. Well, I'm good. Thank you, Matthew. We'll let each of you kind of speak about your player. A couple of you only have 1 at the moment. But those of you that have 2 players will I think we're just going to go through the offensive players first. Then I'll go through the defensive players. But we'll do it kind of like a round table. So where we'll let the person talk, I'll ask questions, and then open the floor for any questions or thoughts from the rest of our guests before we move on to the next position player? So before we move on to before we move on to Alex's superstar wide receiver, are there any questions, thoughts for Exars on his quarterback?
I have a few. The first is I thought it was really interesting that Czars decided to go 69 pocket awareness because I think in rookie in particular, something this extreme might not be generally correct, but I think the way that it's generally said is basically correct. Like pocket awareness in rookie for most players is going to be better than most any other stat, right? Because most defenses in rookie will choose to blitz you almost every single down. And the more that you can recognize that blitz and hopefully avoid the sack, the better your passing offense will be, even if you have some bad passes thrown in there. My only concern or question is ours is how much does he think having absolutely rock bottom consistency is going to affect his passes now that he can see this blitz coming so much better?
It's probably going to affect it a lot in the beginning and will probably be a primary thing that pumps during the 30 games. So, yeah, it's going to be an issue. But the receivers can't catch either, so...
Correct, yeah.
I mean, it's their first game, too, so...
The other thing I'd mentioned about the build, I don't know, because when I first came into the game, like, the things that I saw were generally different than this, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that Czars is demonstrating here, which is that conditioning on quarterback, unlike almost any other position, is basically worthless, and you can just flat out ignore it almost.
Yeah, no one knows the right number. No one knows what really takes and how it affects quality of passes. And the same with balance. They make a comment that if you're off balance, it'll affect accuracy or whatever, but no one knows what that really means when it comes to quarterbacks.
Right.
No one's figured it out yet.
It doesn't pass the eye test, right? Like you watch a tired quarterback and you watch a full energy quarterback and you're like, yeah, it's a quarterback. That's all I can tell you about it.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, unless we're starting to, track passes based upon how many ticks of flight they have for certain arcs and distances, there's no way to know what the real difference is. I mean, that's a whole project in itself.
Yeah.
Y'all are going to get feet excited doing that.
Yeah, that's what we can do is have Peep calculate all the data if you want. But Jesus, that's crazy.
On that quarterback build, though, I like the point of the high pass awareness at the same time, like you were saying, just because it's, like you said, everyone's going to blitz, so might as well get it out going. The other one, too, on that, when you mentioned that, was the balance on that new change. I'm curious how that's really going to affect. I was thinking, everyone went thread the needle when it came out. This on the run really may make a big push, or the balance change, if it actually affects anything, may make a big push for on the run to be the ability for quarterbacks again.
Yeah, that's actually why I've faded away from thread the needle when I was a big proponent coming out, and the reason is that the zone defense at vet is so much better on passing than man, and yet there isn't really an SA to attack it. Whereas if you don't have TTN on your quarterback, you can still complete passes in a man game, but you need something else to beat zone in the passing game at vet. And I don't know if it's on the run or something like a quick hitter, which generally the passes are too short, or what the SA is. But there's pump fake just isn't it. It doesn't matter. You see pump fake players get picks on the same throw. So it's like, what's the point? So I don't know. So that's where it's. I think on the run maybe the revival of that SA with this strategy.
I think personally that on the run is the strongest choice that you can make for a high pocket aware quarterback, because even when you're just shuffling in the pocket, that'll activate and it'll help you with the throw quality. It's hard to tell exactly how much it helps, but you can definitely tell when you have a player who has on the run that they are just a lot better at keeping the offense going when they're being pressured.
I think the biggest thing you're going to see is with the balance. And how that works, I think that primarily hits your pass power and accuracy, and your power is a stat that hits into pass technique as well. So on the run is probably almost mandatory if you're going to go in a low awareness line or a lower pass blocking line.
Yeah, and that's almost intentional with this build and the team, is to actually create that situation, because you're not going to have high pass blocking linemen, so you can invest in run blocking, and you're going to put all the pressure on the quarterback to make the throw. So, yeah, on the run is going to be the final essay.
I would say too that's kind of people who are coming into the game. That's the current top end of teams, right? Have nasty pass rush, like really nasty pass rush, and your O line, it almost like doesn't matter how good you build it, the pass rush will get there, and it's up to your quarterback and receiver combination to stop that from happening, right? You can do that with blazing fast receivers that hop off the line really quick, or you can do it somehow in your quarterback build. But one of those two positions has to address that the pass rush is going to get there.
Excellent
and ideally,
points.
you have a
And-
solution for both.
So what were you saying?
I was saying, ideally, you have that for both a receiver who can get off the line quickly and a quarterback who can, read the play that needs to quickly and get the ball out. It's very reminiscent of Sedgorp when we were first starting out with our quarterback build.
Excellent. Good. Well, speaking of wide receivers, we'll see how Elix's superstar wide receiver matches up with Czar's quarterback. Let me bring up Pudge Battle here so we can look at Pudge Battle, and then we will have Elix kind of talk about what his intentions are and how he went around design the player. His essay, by the way, is Yak Attack. I'm just going to focus on the abilities here and let Elix take it away.
So, as I came back into this game, a Yak wide receiver has kind of been my white elephant. But I would say to anyone who's coming into the game, if they told me they wanted to make a Yak wide receiver, right, I would just tell them, don't do it. It is currently an uncracked mystery, right? Nobody can reliably make one, and it generally is just going to be a waste of an offensive player. But this isn't my team, and so
I gave him permission, by the way, guys. He did ask.
But you're not going to see the plan here, right? So this is built very much for rookie meta, which is ultra high catching traffic, because you're never going to get a cornerback off of you in rookie. No matter how fast you are, you'll never be fast enough to get separation, really. So super high catching traffic, conditioning because he's going to be on the field, and everything else is pretty bottomed out, right? Like receivers, in my opinion, in rookie, because they can't get separation from the cornerback, don't even bother, right? Just get all your receiving metrics like in a reasonable position as best you can. Ignore the rest and just kind of hope that, you catch the balls that are thrown at you, because it's hard in rookie, right? Like a good wide receiver has like a 55% catch rate or something like that.
Yeah, and that's throughout the whole season. In the beginning, it's worse.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as where the build is going, though, his catching traffic is not getting any higher than this, 80, which is what I consider the bare minimum to even consider a wide receiver is 80 catching traffic. But that's where it's going to end up. Receiving hands goes to 75. Consistency gets to like 60. He's not going to be an incredible catcher, right? At best, he's going to kind of live in that 50-50 catch range his whole career. But he will get reception awareness to like 77, which with the Yak Attack is going to give him a pretty high fire rate on that. And his power running is going to go to 90. So when he catches a pass, he will go to 102 power running for like 2.5 seconds. And the idea being is that he's primarily meant to catch passes on either out routes or like underneath drop-off passes. Hopefully Yak Attack fires. hopefully the cornerback hits a brick wall, and then he runs for yard after catch.
Should be fun to watch if it works out according to plan. Do you guys
Yeah,
have questions for Elix and his
I have
superstar?
one on that build. Is just because I get your concept of it completely makes sense. Is though with the low, almost no physicals, would you think maybe snap reaction just a little higher, just to maybe like between you and Zars, you both have that concept of high snap reaction gets the guy to his point that the quarterback sees he's ready to catch the ball faster because he's not going to outrun the corner, but that snap reaction maybe get him there.
Snap reaction helps a lot on wide receivers, especially early on in their careers, really throughout their whole career, right? Like snap reaction is for anyone who wants to get early speed in a build. Snap reaction is more cost effective than either sprinting or quickness is. So to your point, though, I'll probably get receiving hands and consistency both about 10 higher. But every time I have leftover points, it'll go to snap reaction until I get to like 50 or 60, which is about where I like snap reaction on a receiver that's not specializing in it.
Okay.
Any other questions for Alex? If not, let's switch gears and look at Raid's halfback, Mr. Crowley. Let me bring up Mr. Crowley here. And again, I'm going to scoot down because he brace for impact. Silver is his signature ability, and that way we can look at his stats. And if Raid, if you would like to kind of tell us what you're aiming to accomplish here and how you are going about this in the early build.
Well, general idea behind the halfback in the early game is just don't get tired too quickly. I do have a little too not enough conditioning on the build right now. I kind of should have put a little bit more into it, but I was trying to hit that 46 sprinting right off the bat. I was expecting us to have the superstar here with us, so I didn't think that I needed to have my conditioning super high right off the bat. But it's looking like he's going to be carrying the load in the first game, so I should have had a higher.
Well, I might have I have a message here. I got to look and see, but anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
General idea here is just that at rookie, there's not going to be a lot you can do as running back, so you get your basic minimums out of the way. I've kind of just done this to kind of balance out the build a little bit. It's not really going to be all that great right off the bat, and because of that, generally what you'd want to do is get your sprinting up, get your conditioning up, carrying awareness up, because all you can do is take advantage of the blocks that you get and try to get yourself up to speed and run at this level. There's not a lot of left and right stuff that's going to work for you too much at rookie, because the builds can't be built out well enough. So the speed is really where it's at.
All right, excellent. I'm looking, and I do not have anything from Brett 007 yet. Do you guys have questions, thoughts for Raid?
The build is going to be advancing a little bit beyond this as it goes. It's going to be a general speed back in the way that it is, but the shape that you see here is going to be about the shape that the build's going to finish out at. So that's kind of what I was going for when I was just setting the initial points, was getting the shape of the build all worked out to where, once I actually get everything added in, it's going to basically take that same form.
Oh yeah, I guess I should say this to our community as well. Raid is an excellent halfback builder. There are other positions that he builds well, but I think Raid prides himself with the amount of research and effort that he has been putting into halfbacks for the longest time. So for that reason, I'm extremely happy to have a Raid halfback on our team. if I will say this, if we did not have a superstar sitting in front of him, Mr. Crowley would 100% be carrying the load for us. Obviously, superstar, depending on how well they're built. Brett's a pretty good coach. I still want to make sure that people are. Well, this is supposed to be a fun, educative series. I do want to make sure though that everyone is going to be getting playing time. If it was a more competitive team and the superstar halfback was built appropriately, then I would 100% be giving them the ball most of the time. But we're going to try to get everybody involved so it's fun and educative, because I do think that it'll be fun to watch Mr. Crowley evolve, and I do believe that our community can learn through the process of watching Mr. Crowley evolve, and not just watching the superstar halfback get all of the carries. Thank you so much. Cool. My son and wife got me a Hellfire Club T-shirt. So excited. All right,
Cool.
back to the show here. So, before we move on to Outer Fist's tight end, are there any questions, comments, commentary from the panel for Raid about his halfback, Mr. Crowley?
Maybe about the choice of 28 balance.
Yeah, I literally was looking at the same thing.
Yeah. Most players I build won't leave, level 5 without having 40 balance. So I think it's interesting that he decided on only 28 for a running back, who generally we consider that to be a more important stat for them.
I agree, because that's kind of me too. It's 40 every dot besides like a quarterback and kicker.
I'm even worse than you guys. I'm like, for me, like 50 is the entrance on balance.
So, Raid, what you got for us?
In general, I would be going for more balance, and I kind of figured this question was coming. But at rookie, I've just noticed that you kind of only need enough to stay upright. As long as you're moving those straight lines, as long as you're getting yourself, the blocking that you need, it's not going to be that big a deal. You shouldn't be slowing down too much anyhow. And when you actually add that more balance before you have the footwork or the quickness, your player tends to hesitate because he's trying to figure out what to do. He's getting himself upright. He's getting himself good and balanced to make a move, and then he doesn't exactly have anything to really make a move with. And then the defense isn't fooled, and you end up just going down. So I find that, it's not super important to get it really high right off the bat, but it is a very, very important stat for halfbacks. You all are very correct about that.
Where do you see this build going with like a top balance Raid for your halfback?
I'm thinking that balance for the halfback here is either going to max out somewhere around 75 or 85, depending.
So, see, that's good to know, because this is like first build, right? Rookie. So we only have so many points to spend. But it's nice to know that your end vision is definitely a good amount of balance. See if I got any more people signing up. All right.
I'm planning on playing it by ear a little bit as we continue to go to see how much more I need to add as the player gets a little bit more free in his movements,
Yeah, and I mean we'll be streaming these games, so hopefully I'll have plenty of people for commentary, and we can talk about these things. And hey, if it works out, maybe even have some coaches meetings that we either record or do in Discord chat and kind of talk about things, so that it can be a learning experience for everybody. So thank you, Raid. Adder, you are up next. Let me bring up your tight end, Chance Bourne. Meeting Chance. And Chance. Here we go. And Chance's going with Hometown, Road Warrior, and Primetime, bronze level as his essays, and then here are his, um, his
So
abilities. Take it away, sir.
So I know this looks very strange for a receiving tight end, but with rookie meta being speed halfbacks primarily, I opted to go the blocking route. Those are end build blocking numbers. So from this point on, it's going to be almost everything into receiving. His snap reaction is only 10 points off of his final cap as well.
Nice.
So end build, he's going to have 80 hands, 95 receiving consistency, and 95 catch and traffic. And I went slightly lower on conditioning as well, as I was expecting to be backing up a tight end for the majority of these snaps.
I like that you went early. I do like, and we didn't even talk that much about it, but when we had the superstar tight end, I like that you're going early with the blocking aspect. But then later on, he looks like he's going to be a beast for a non superstar. As you all well know, I love my tight ends, right? So this kind of gets me excited to be able to have a superstar tight end, but then also have a reliable blocking tight end that I can throw to as well. Do you guys, the panel? Does the panel have any questions, thoughts for Adder on Chance?
Yeah. I am on record as saying that Adder is a genius, and also no one should ever listen to Adder. And this is a prime example because I would never allow this on my team with him. There's no chance they'd have a receiver that's going to be just dead weight for the whole rookie season. But the overall shape of the build looks pretty good.
Oh, we're going to find ways to get him the ball. And, I'm glad like I said, I'm kind of glad he went this way. Knowing this, I can use it to our advantage. There will be teams whose like free safeties and linebackers are not ready to cover, the blocking tight end, and they won't use tight end smother. So there'll be opportunities for, Chance, who looks to be more of a team player than a selfish guy right now, to get his.
Don't try and spin this into a positive thing for him.
You know me, I'm Mr. Positivity.
So I got a question for Adder. So for a new player that watches this, because they're going to be a little confused. So Adder, this is a normal player, not a superstar, and yet you're going to hit high consistency, high catch and traffic. So where did you have to make cuts when you were allocating SP? Because a new player isn't going to, build a tight end with those type of skill sets and not know where to cut. So it looks like 29 sprinting is a hard cap for you unless you're going to use boosters. So where are you thinking you made the cuts there to fund those things?
Conditioning, because of the superstar tight end, I'm much, much lower than I prefer to be, like almost 20 points lower. Quickness also is about 10 to 20 points lower, depending on the build. So the physicals really, really get hit here pretty hard. Like, he's not going to be a superstar player, get off the line super quick, get down the field and catch the ball. He's going to be the plod down the field, and if the ball is thrown to him, he is going to catch it.
I thought he was going to say he's going to parade.
No, he's gonna catch it with that 95 catch and
One day he's gonna catch it,
95
sure.
receiving consistency. Yeah,
he'll get it there eventually.
Another spot that is cut down on, and this is probably the one that hurt the most in the build, is the receiving with a snap reaction. Because with him being so slow, he's gonna want to get down the field really quick. It also hurts his blocking. So I like to go 80 on snap reaction for anything like this, and I was only able to get 65 out of the build.
Let me just say that I like the direction the build is going. The 65 snap is a little low for what I would hope for out of what you got here going, because The build, when you're talking about having that high of a catch in traffic and reception consistency, and I'm sure you're going for a pretty high receiving hands in the end too. It's going to be extremely difficult to cover that, and even with a low amount of sprinting and quickness, as long as he's getting downfield, for those first, second, and even third downs on short ones, it's going to be such a reliable target to throw to, such a person to just kind of throw it over the middle to. That'll be a kind of comfort blanket for the quarterback. And it's nice to see that we have somebody like that on the team, even if he's going to be kind of low on conditioning. Are you thinking about going for a hometown hero and road warrior?
Yep. I'll be taking both of those. I am thinking of going 5 silver essays instead of 2 gold and a silver.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea. I like
so prime time, yak attack, hometown hero, road warrior, and then one of the blocking essays most likely.
Yeah, you could take a movable object here. That'd probably be pretty good.
And I think one of those things like we're talking about is this being for anyone new seeing, he is in theory going to eventually be a second string tight end. So what? He's never going to get the top defender. He's never going to get the top cover guy guarding him. So he's going to be able to take advantage for sure, big time.
Yeah, it'll be things like 2 tight end sets. You can move the superstar to either tight end position and not compromise the other position. Is the idea.
I think it's also worth mentioning that, like, people who are new to the game, this is why for a long time tight ends have been so predominant and wide receivers have often been neglected. Is if you look at the shape of just the receiving stats of this tight end, a tight end gets to these massive catch and traffic numbers so much easier than a wide receiver does. They basically just bumble their way into a 90 plus catch and traffic, and a receiver has to really make cuts in their build to make that happen. And a tight end does it with ease and then still has points left over to be a great run blocker, still have okay enough speed to not be a complete liability. Like, they just do it easily.
Hey, Elix, that made me think. I think you were talking earlier about the ever elusive yak wide receiver, right? In yards after catch. I think that another wide receiver that we've seen flashes of, but not a lot of, are like this that everyone wants, that speedy, create separation wide receiver. So what you had just talked about with catching traffic and that kind of stuff has got me thinking, like, you guys, if you were going to try to create that speedy wide receiver that just gets open downfield and put, the Tyreek Hill kind of wide receiver, where points are tight, would you bother that much for that type of receiver, that much in catching traffic, or would you really like pump up snap reaction, quickness, sprinting? What in your minds are the skills that we would need to max out to try to get wide receivers open, like on streaks?
First step is non-negotiable. You have to have first step, otherwise you'll never accelerate fast enough. Snap reaction is probably your most important stat until like 80 or 90. Maybe even you go to 100, but you probably can be fine on 80 or 90. After that, then it's quickness, and after that, it's sprinting. If I was going to do it, this is gonna spill the beans on an idea that Adder and I have in some regard. Is if I was going to do it personally, and don't do this, by the way, but if I was going to do it, I would do no catching traffic at all. I would go enough hands to where I wouldn't feel comfortable catching the ball, like 90, go like 80 consistency. So I know that if it's open, probably going to catch it. And then I'm going to put every single point I can into my physicals.
Yep. That's what I was thinking.
And then I know even then that he'll eventually get open, but in the early part of a play, he still will not. And that's the part of the play where I'm going to get sacked. So either I need shed sack on my quarterback, or I need some way to get the defenders off of the route with wide receiver. And that to me means play actions.
Yep. I think I might actually, where we're looking for a couple wide receivers, I might actually. I've only made one player so far, and heck, I own the team. I might make a wide receiver, so I might be talking to you more about putting our heads together, if you don't mind, for a non-superstar speedy wide receiver, just kind of as an exploration, learning opportunity for everybody.
Yep.
How are we doing?
Well, I've actually
Okay.
had some success recently messing around with route elusiveness.
Actually, you know what we're gonna do then? Let's do this. At some point in time, I'm gonna reach out to you guys. People that are in this chat that wish to kind of join us. I would like to take like a meeting sometime, and us together, right? Put our brains together and try to come up with that wide receiver build sooner than later. Not necessarily today, but I mean sooner than later. Is that something you guys, anyone wants to jump on board? It sounds like Raid, Adder, and Elix. It sounds like you all have been putting this together. So, Dr. Edgar and Zarge, you are more than welcome to join us as well. I think it would be fun, just in Google Chat to be not Google Chat, Discord chat to be kind of be talking about it. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm always down for sure.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. I actually, my current pickup is an elusive wide receiver, so we could take a look at that if you wanted to a little bit later. Not right now because it's not part of the stream team, obviously.
Yeah, and we can
He will eventually
talk
be,
about
though.
salvo wide receivers too, because salvo wide receivers were a foray into speedbacks for speed wide receivers.
All right, moving on to Dr. Edgar's kicker, and then we'll do Dr. Edgar's linebacker, and then we'll just go back up the list, and then we'll be good because it's all right. So let me see here. Stream team, kicker, and Dr. Edgar. I think we decided on having you make the kicker for us because I believe you were saying that you had a kicker on one of your either the sloths or I'm totally blanking on your other team, but you had a kicker I thought that you were like really, really happy with. So I was like, let's try to recreate him for I think for the stream team. Is that correct?
Yeah. My kicker was the Sloth ones we have is a star, and he's been absolutely phenomenal. This one's a build I've used, and I always make just slight adjustments between teams when I notice something on it. And it ends up being the whole thing is that it ends up getting a high accuracy, fairly good high kick consistency. And one of the big things is notice is that you can, with the kickers, obviously early rookie, sophomore, you shorten down the field you're kicking from, and you can get a lot higher percentage. But it was one of those I definitely noticed in the builds, like how we started with 30 kick power, just because we noticed that as I was doing them, the more kick power, the easier they were kicking longer kicks accurately, more consistently, because it wasn't as much of an effort for them to kick it far. And then, of course, we went with the kickoff power high, which I started 50. I sometimes like to try to get it, but one of the goals for it is I will go up to 65, 70 pretty fast, and I use follow-up. That way, every time we score a touchdown or a field goal, hopefully the follow-up kicks, and this is something Czars preaches about a lot. Now we're going to get that kicker to start the offense deeper, and the deeper we can start them in rookie, the more chance our defense has of stopping them, preventing them from scoring at all, which gives us field position on offense.
Excellent.
And so overall, in the end, the kicker will be pretty good and will be a really quality kicker and consistent. But early on right now, the main worry is trying to help the defense and the rookie so we don't even have to worry about the other team scoring.
So this is a point where I want to quickly interject before I ask for commentary from the panel. Is again, this shows too that team mentality. Like when you build players, right? You can make a player to be a superstar, or you can kind of make a player and figure out how he's going to benefit the the team approach. So thank you for that example, Dr. Edgar. Guys on the panel, do you have any questions, thoughts, suggestions, ideas for Dr. Edgar?
I think your idea is a good one with the follow up and the kickoff power. I just worry about the kick accuracy and consistency and field goal power. Kickers are notoriously bad at actually making kicks in rookie, and I feel like this puts that back a lot. So it really leans on your offense.
Yeah, no, don't disagree at all. And that's definitely that part where most of the time when I'm looking at the offense in rookie, I don't see many kickers, even doesn't matter how you build them, even as stars, they're not going to consistently kick a 40-yard field goal accurately and consistently enough from what I've seen, 40 plus, that most of the time, if you can have a terrible punter build, but if you're punting it from 40 out, then you can see it better. Like there, you're going to get more pin deeps. So you're going to have a better chance getting the ball back and trying to score than you are kicking that field goal most of the time. Just as mainly.
It's just going to be it's going to be something that we probably have to plan around in general for field goal length, just because it is so important. The morale swings when you're in rookie. Missing those field goals will really set you back. So we're just going to have to make sure to take the ones that we are more confident in and use that kickoff power to our advantage in other ways because of that.
Yeah, this is where you want to set your offensive tactics properly so you don't try field goals. Rookie's a defensive game, so you want the kick power. For anyone that's ever watching this that's new, what you're going to find on kick power is if you get to 70 kick power, your kicker will average 70-yard kicks. And since you kick from the 30, you'll kick it to about the goal line. So that's the idea behind the 70 power and getting there is that it kind of correlates with distance in that regards. If you're newer and didn't know those stats, and then your kicker is going to suck in terms of accuracy if you go that route, and so you have to use your offensive tactics to bring down the chances of you trying a kick, and you're going to rely on your defense. You're going to rely on your defense to get a stop and a turnover and get a short field situation so you can score a touchdown. And that's how you roll rookie.
With that said and done, what would you guys suggest now that we've met our kicker, right? I can go in and change this before the game. What would you guys suggest on the tactics for the safe field for today's game, for safe field goal range and max field goal range?
I wouldn't touch anything longer than 35 on a kicker like this.
That's honestly where most of my rookie, I set 35, max 40. The max field goal is 40, and then 35 is the upper.
All right, I'll make sure to change that. I think I had a hair higher, but I think I'll go in and change that before the game.
And before we get the game, I'll get on it. I need to boost him, and then obviously because he's still not boosted, and then we'll get more kick accuracy for sure there.
And again, cool. One thing too for our listeners, but I mean also for you guys is with this being the stream team. I think that this is great because it's going to give us time to really look at this and talk about that between games and all that other and streaming the games, but also taking time to kind of stream coaching sessions. I think it's going to be. I'm really excited about it. We're going to move to Dr. Edgar's linebacker. Switching the defense.
I'll need just a second.
All right, I'll switch to while you're doing that, Raid first, and then we'll come back to you. You ready, Raid?
Absolutely.
Talk about your defensive tackle, Wall. We bring him up.
Oh, I do love
his
my
essay
tackles.
we haven't picked yet. So for right now, looking at his abilities, here you go. Take it away, sir.
Well, right now in rookie, the main thing that you need to be sure of is that your player is involved in the plays, mainly at defensive tackle. You're not going to have a whole heck of a lot of power or tech to break through right now. So as long as you have a decent amount of power or tech, one of the two, you can kind of make a show of it and stay in their own game as long as you got the toughness and conditioning for it. Defensive tackles have it pretty easy on conditioning. I am going to be boosting that up a little bit, but 52 is not bad for where we're at right now, I'd say. The general shape of the physicals are just there for mobility mainly. I probably should have got his balance a little bit higher again, but in general right now, I just wanted to make sure that I got those toughness and conditioning numbers up to where he's going to be, at least standing up the entire game for the first game.
Have you decided what you wanted for an SA? Where you're going with an SA?
I kind of haven't yet. I've been weighing the options with it, but I'm not sure where I should go for the first one. I know I'm probably going to go for spin for him, but I don't know if I should be going for that right away.
All right. Well, I'm sure the panel will give you some suggestions. Ultimately, it's your choice where you go with that. I will say that for me, like for my non-boosted DTs, this is your build, so I'm not telling you what you have to do, but for non-boosted DTs, I prefer them to lean towards filling the hole, shutting down the inside run. If it was a superstar, I like the idea kind of like of a combo of, being able to help put pressure on the quarterback, but also shut down the inside runs as well. So panel, looking at Raid's defensive tackle, right? And also coming up with some suggestions for early SA. What do you all think? I do not remember.
I think you honestly just start spin with what I know of the defensive ends and the ones that we have right now. I think that's really important. And then after that, you could take both of the losing run block interaction essays, and I think that would be really strong. The alternative to that is if you don't take spin, you could take hands up on this style of build because it is going to cause havoc in the center, and it should be in position to try to swat the ball down.
And I haven't seen that. I have not seen the hands up DT yet in action. It's relatively new SA. Any other suggestions for Raid's defensive tackle?
I think it's what is it, Unstoppable Force is the
losing. Yep.
I think correct. That has a lot of potential here in terms of, like you were saying, Agram, in terms of just taking up space and existing. But I do agree that like the shape of rookie, right, is that like you bring pass rush, so you probably go at least silver spin early, and then decide if silver spin is going to be where you leave it, because maybe you don't care that much about spin. You just kind of want a token pass rush, or if you want to go deeper into that and then just pick up, a gold run blocking SA or 2 silvers.
I would probably do the silver spin and the 2 gold run blocking essays. Because this is next to a superstar defensive tackle, which is a lot of times going to do what this wants to do better and faster. So you take the spin so that when it doesn't happen and they're like against a superstar offensive lineman, he still has a chance to get in. And if he's against the superstar interior, which is going to happen a lot, he's not going to just get blown up.
Excellent feedback. Dr. Edgar, are you back?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm going to quickly move on. So we've got Dr. Edgar's linebacker, and we've got Adder's defensive end, and then we are good. So let's go to the roster here. Slap and Tickle. And on his linebacker, he's got closing speed as his silver closing speed as his SA. And here are his abilities. And take it away, sir.
Yeah, so obviously rookie, the run game's just not quite as strong, so I didn't force as much stuff on that, but it's still, he's got 35 speed. He's not blazing fast, but he's that prototypical middle linebacker. In build, I think his speed gets to like 72. But I went a little higher footwork, hoping to, potentially be in a lot more pass coverage. He can stay backpedaling with a tight end or receiver area. He's got some good pursuit. Like balance, while we talked earlier, I'll push that to 40 pretty quick. And the tackling, decent skills, not crazy high yet for rookie, but by end rookie, he'll have higher tackling. And it's one of those, as like prototypical middle linebacker style, his like end power tackling ends up being like 93, tackling technique ends up being like mid 80s, and pursuit 70, 80 range. So it's in build, it's really going to hold that middle for the team, but it takes a little more time progressing, but it's playing on is kind of going to have a little more quickness and footwork to move laterally and quickly versus shooting straight past where the guy's going to be.
Yeah, that'll definitely help him against the run as well as outside runs, being able to that lateral movement and getting him outside versus just going vertical will definitely help.
And that's what I like, the closing speed. I love that SA for him, for a lot of like your middle linebackers, because they can, like with him, he's going to be able to have potentially lower spreading than what a traditional man defense linebacker might, but he still can get out there with them with the closing speed firing. And like I said, we've already went man awareness a little higher to help in that pass scheme, where he'll still end up having decent deflection. He won't be an all-star pass defender, but he'll be solid.
Panel, do you have any questions, thoughts for Dr. Edgar on his linebacker slap and tickle?
The one thing with that man awareness is that's not just responding to a pass, that's also responding to the run out of the man coverage.
Absolutely.
So even though it says pass coverage in the section, it's still really important for covering outside runs in particular.
Yeah, such as a counter, reading the.
I'll be with you guys in just 1 second. He's got to do one thing for my son.
I do think the general shape of this is basically correct, right? Like in terms of rookie meta linebackers, right? I think he's not boosted currently, just by the look of the points. Is that right?
No, he is boosted now.
Interesting. Okay. I'm wondering where the points are. Did you not take natural on him?
No, he doesn't have natural.
Gotcha.
No, if I use natural, he loses a lot, like the power tackling. Can't get above 82 even with boost, with still having some of the other numbers higher for that build.
If this doesn't work, then we're gonna have to play.
And the natural costs quite a bit.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Natural's 12% cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't want to. That was one, is I didn't kind of see how much cost we had, but as a not a star, I didn't want to make him cost even more.
I've got a question. What about break run block? As a man linebacker, he's going pretty close, and defensive tackle is not a speedster, so he won't occupy two blockers. Does he need some break run blocks?
With the superstar defensive tackle in front of him, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
And he's still I want to say he ends up getting around, in buildings around 40 break run blocks, maybe 50. But like you said, starting tackle in front of him, the centers and guards aren't going to get right up on top of him as easy.
The other thing you can do is you can actually scheme for that in the plays. Do something like a middle linebacker lurk where he steps backwards at the start of the play. And then the center or the guards hit the other linebackers to free this guy up.
I also look at it, and I agree right there, is the other part is the footwork and quickness being up a little bit more. It's going to allow him, like you said, when he steps back and goes back forward for that running back coming in, he can kind of move laterally around the block or something, to at least just a side flip.
So it looks like I want to welcome Mango Fandango and 4chan. Looks like they have joined us. Welcome to the stream, guys.
And Genema.
Hey, stay out of there.
Oh, there's Ganema. I didn't see him on the. Oh, there he is. Yep, there he is. Welcome, Ganema. Sorry about that. So we've got one more to do on this time slot, and then if anybody in the future, let's see. So Ganema, we haven't looked at your guys. 4chan, Mango, we haven't looked at your guys. In the future, if you would like us to kind of do this with your players, a little spotlight on a player, that would be cool. Let me know, and we can set it up for a future episode. But with that said and done, we are going to wrap it up with Outer Fist's defensive end, Walsh Monroe. Looking at him.
All right, and to lead this off, this is the same build for DL Kurt and myself, so Spin Doctor is set up the same way.
Oh, excellent. All right, so here we have, they are both spin DEs.
Yeah, these are going to get to the quarterback.
I love it.
If the answer or buts about it, they're just going to get there. So
go ahead.
A defensive line is less about the individual players. It's more about the unit, which is why I was suggesting Spin for Raid's defensive tackle. When something like this pops up, Spin is about making multiple spins happen at once, and it messes with the offensive line. So that's why the pass tech at 90 instead of like 65.
90 this early.
And then it's missing a lot of points in different areas. However, I think the key points for a pass rusher are balance conditioning, snap reaction, and then the pass tech itself. So I'm going to try to get all those to 40 before I touch anything else in the build. And then from that point, it's going to be minimum values on the break run block, hold ground, and then it's just pretty much all physicals from that point on.
I'm excited, especially with today's game plan. I went with with today's game plan, I went with the rookie spam blitz. So I'm going to get to see these guys. I'm not going to do that all the single time. I like to kind of mix it up a little bit. And like I said, my goal is to have other guys that are interested in, taking the helm sometime, being able to call games either offensively or defensive or both. And then us being able to kind of talk about things, because I think there's different ways of doing this. And I think the more different ways we can show that will help our community. Well, it'll help each of us, but it'll also help our community members, learn, that my way is not the only way. My way is probably not even close to the best way. So we're fortunate to have the brains that we have, the think tank that we have put together here. Speaking of a think tank, do you guys have any questions for Adderfist on his NDL Kurt's spin DEs?
Where's your conditioning going to go to by the end of rookie there, Adderfist?
Probably 50. I think that's a decent value, especially when you consider getting toughness up there as well. Like my target is 50 conditioning, 50 toughness at the very end of rookie.
That doesn't sound bad. I think that's usually where most of my players at the end of rookie are close to, besides like a Starkville running back.
And I did consider going like 40-40, because we are going to have 4 defensive ends in the game plan.
And the reason why we have 4 defensive ends is because we don't have the superstars. I want to be able to have the 2 pass rushing defensive ends, which we have in UNDL Kurt, and 2 run stopping. When I game plan, I'll use some different formations so I can have run stopping unit on when I want run stopping unit on, and pass rushers when I want pass rushers on. Most of the time, it's not perfect. Only thing we're going to have to be careful of is, like, if we're playing a team that is extremely pass heavy, I'm going to want to have you and DL on there as much as possible. Whereas if we're going on against a team that's extremely run heavy, right? You and DL won't get as many. You'll be backing up the run stop, the defensive ends. You'll definitely get in because it's hard to get non-superstars the level of conditioning to stay on, even if they're specialists. And but that's how I'm gonna call the defense. Like I said, I'm inviting other people to game plan as well. So, any other questions for Adderfist? I think we've been on for a little while now, and I got to take a little break before 12 o'clock because I got a 12 o'clock game that I'm going to watch, and then I will be streaming our stream team game at 1 o'clock, and then that's going to be kind of it for me. I'm back to school and everything, so I don't have the energy that I had when I was. Not to mention, this is my third stream. I'll have 3 streams today. Between episode 3, episode 2, and stream team, our first game. So, are there any other questions for Adderfist first? And then I'll close, giving you guys an opportunity to say anything or ask any questions, and then I'm going to take a wee break. So, any questions for Adderfist?
I do want to clarify one more thing with
Yep.
The defensive end choices that were made. We were going to do a different build that's like a speed run around the outside with a higher break, run, block, hold ground defensive consistency. And the reason we did not go with that build is because then it requires the rest of the defense to be built around it. And that is a linebacker, like you talk to everybody and build it at that point. It's very, very good, very, very strong, but it requires a lot more planning before you start the team. So that's why we ended up on this spin build.
I like this because I think for most beginning players, they're going to go the spin route anyways, down the road, if we do in the future, if we do a stream team 2, we can always take a different focus, right? Maybe a more advanced approach to building a team. But I think this will be a good learning opportunity and kind of lay the foundation for that. Before we go, I think I'm just going to quickly run down the list of my guest speakers today. I want to thank each of you and invite you if you have anything you want to say. If not, then I'll just pass it to the next guy. So, starting at the top of the list, Felix, thank you again for joining us and for your insight. Do you have any parting shots that you would like to take, my friend?
I just wanted to say I'm excited to watch the games.
Sorry, what was that? I missed it.
I was just saying I'm excited to watch the games that we're going to do.
Oh, me too. Adderfist, you just spoke, but again, thank you again for commentary on both of your dots. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
I think we've covered everything. I'm looking forward to the games.
Me too. Raid, how about you, my friend?
I'm just pretty excited about how the team's going to shape up. It was fun to do this look at our players, and I'm also excited to see what's going to be going down in the games today. I've got some games I got to catch up on already, so.
I know, I'm so excited. Like, this is like, for me, like the beginning of like NFL football, that first, looking forward to seeing our games, being able to have these streams with you all. Because this is kind of relatively new where we've gotten a bunch of us together and actually been able to stream together. I like the way that it's taking shape. Dr. Edgar, how about you, my friend?
I think we're pretty covered there. Like I said, it's fun. Definitely want to have more people involved. It's always fun, especially when you get them talking on any team. That's the one flaw of running the team by yourself. Sometimes not much conversation, but love starting rookie because even though you spend half of the first half of rookie just pissed off the plays aren't working the way they should, it's so much fun to watch and enjoy.
I agree 100%. And last but certainly not least, the guy that kicked it off for us, the guy that's going to wrap it up for us, our quarterback, Czars. Any commentary?
All I'd say is when you start doing the games in the season, if you want to show people how you game plan, building out the offensive playbook, the offensive tactics, but primarily the defensive tactics and the defensive play calls, since the defensive tactics is always Matrix is always the Achilles heel of new players. So not something it'd be every game, but if you do game plan for a game or an opponent, maybe you want to show how you set up the game beforehand, and then also stream the game in an episode so people can see what your decision making is.
Perfect segue, because right after I post episode 2, I have already done that I've already done episode 3s. I didn't do it as a stream. I just did it as a video. So I will be posting episode 2, which we just recorded, and episode 3. Episode 3 is me setting up depth chart and tactics, offensive and defensive playbook and tactics for our first game. And as I've alluded to in the stream, I certainly will be doing that with other games and inviting other coaches that want to do the same thing. If they want to take the controls of the car for a game or games, I would ask that if they're going to do that, that they work with me to record it so that we can share that with our community. I like to do those not as much as streams as I do recording just a video so that we can post it after the fact. I got away with it this time because it's a CPU that we're playing. It doesn't matter. But I wouldn't want to tempt anybody that was not a CPU. So excellent suggestion. I will be posting that. I hope you guys are excited to watch that. You got a little content to watch before the game. And then I welcome you back to the GLB2 Academy voice chat channel, and we can stream our game together. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. We'll be seeing you in a few. Take care. Bye.